when people, really smart data scientists, approach the job process, the interview process, all of these things, they forget to think about it like how a data scientist would. You said you started with an internship, and that was one way that you were able to start working outside of India, get a job in a different country. That's something I have absolutely no experience in. I mean, I've worked in the US my whole life. I don't know what it's like to apply. Do you have any tips, any other pathways for people who are saying, okay, I do want to work in in Germany, in somewhere in Europe, in the US? What are some of the best practices there?
I would say for fresh graduates, they can come for a master's to Germany. So that's one of the cleanest option and easiest option, in my opinion, to grab an opportunity in Germany later. So that is one. And if you are already working in a company, let's say in India, in anywhere in the world, you can grab an on-site opportunity. So people call it an on-site opportunity, where you will be sent to Germany for, let's say, a couple of months or 3 months or 6 months. And then people come here, just switch to the local employer here, and they make use of that opportunity. That is the second option. And the third option would be directly applying to jobs in Germany. But the third option is rather difficult because people, HR, they usually give preferences to people who live locally. So let's say people who live in Germany, at least who live in Europe. So that's the hardest option. But of course, it is also one of the viable options. I know people who just came directly from India after working some time in India. So that's also possible.
That's awesome. I think with those first two options, something that I'd really like to highlight is that, when you're talking about sales in general, which can be a little bit different from data science, you have the idea of a warm transfer and a cold transfer, right? So a warm transfer is when you talk to someone who you're already familiar with, you already know, and that gives you a higher probability of closing the sale. When it comes to jobs, if you're going through a university, universities have relationships with a lot of these businesses, and that gives you a higher chance of landing one because you have that connection there. Same thing if you're already working in the company, that's probably the hottest transfer. You already have the job, you just have to move within, and that process is so much easier. I see so many people that they're like, okay, I got all these internships, and now I can't get a job. What do I do? It's like, well, you should be asking the companies that you got the internship with. Your goal with the internship is to hopefully work at that company after you finish and get an offer there. So people aren't looking at it as like, they're just racking up experience. They're not looking at that like it could be the end opportunity, which they 100% should be.
Exactly. So they're not thinking about the conversion ratio. So most people, they just grab an internship, and as you said, they're just racking up the experiences. So they just want to boast their profile as if they have done 4 or 5 internships in different firms, and they have wide range of opportunities and experiences. But that's not the case. So you should always have that in mind. So it's always first about the conversion factor. So if you get an internship, do that well, convert it to a master thesis or a bachelor thesis, do that well, grab a full-time opportunity. So that's the safest bet. Rather than again starting from scratch and looking for jobs, this is the closest and safest option.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me also that when people, really smart data scientists, approach the job process, the interview process, all of these things, they forget to think about it like how a data scientist would, right? If you're building a model to predict if you'll get a job, the relationships that you have in with people inside of the company, the number of recruiters you talk with, have a lot more predictive power on if you'll get that job than even how many applications you apply for, right? The traditional way. And so it's like, well, let's think about this problem as though, it's a work problem or it's a data science problem, because we'll improve our chances. This is a great opportunity to use data science in your real life. I mean,
exactly.
As crazy as it sounds, if someone during the interview process at my company told me they went about interviewing in a very systematic way like that, they're like, oh, I built this model about my success rate. I've been tracking my performance, and I know that I have a 7% higher chance of getting an interview than the next guy because of XYZ. I mean, probably shouldn't tell that to every employer, but that to me would be fascinating. I'd be like, yeah, let's get him to the next round.